Hello peeps, welcome back to Big Deck Player with me, Matt Sparks. Today we are taking a look at another mage deck. I don't normally do two of the same in a row, but the previous deck I personally didn't have a lot of luck with. Now, I know that it's a good deck because the winner of the recent DreamHack tournament used it to win 3-0. So it's obviously a good deck because he used it and won a $10,000 or 10,000 euros or whatever it was. So, you know, it's obviously a good deck. But for me, I just couldn't, it just didn't click with me. This one, however, has. So let's take a look at it. I found this one, as per usual, on Hearthpwn.com. Now, it doesn't really have a proper title as such. I'm just calling it a miracle/token ? Deck. This was posted on Hearthpwn by Mr. Hosed or Hosed, and he's called it Counter My Miracle with Tokens. I'm not really sure if that's really applicable, but we'll see. We'll see. So this is the deck. Now he's actually updated it fairly recently, and I've not played it since the update, so this is going to be a little bit new for me as well. And I'll tell you what it was before, and so that you can see what has been changed. So, as a mage, obviously you get lots of spells. So let's take a look at those. We have 2 lots of arcane missiles, 2 ice lance, 2 mirror image. Now these are really good for starting off because you have 2 mana worms. So having your 2 mana worms, if you can combo a mana worm into mirror image, if you have the coin on your first go, then you have a 3/3 mana worm behind 2 taunts, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. And obviously, the next turn you can then combo that with all sorts of other things. So that's a great little starting combo. Should you have that in your hand at the right time. That's always the case, isn't it? We have a couple of Frostbolts. Frostbolts comboed well with the Ice Lance to do extra damage is pretty useful. So also you can use Frostbolts and Ice Lances. Why does it keep doing that? That's really weird. It keeps going to the mirror image. Keeps going back to that one. That's really odd. Okay, so yeah, you can also use the Frostbolts and the Ice Lance to hold things in place and stop things from attacking. Especially useful against warriors, I've found. Just using an Ice Lance, not to necessarily do damage, but just to stop them from attacking, because there's no disgusting ooze, so there's no way to get rid of the weapons on your opponent. But just holding them in place so they can't attack means that you can carry on with doing what you need to do and without the threat of either losing minions or taking damage to your face. A couple of Sorcerer's Apprentice, just to make casting your spells a bit cheaper, hopefully. Although, in my experience, the Sorcerer's Apprentice gets shot down pretty quickly. So it's best to make the most of these while they're up, if you can. 1 Arcane Intellect for a little bit of card draw. Now, in the previous version, there were 2 of these. I can't say I ever really needed to have 2 of these in this deck, but there were 2 before. He's taken 1 out, and I'll go into what he's changed when we get to that point further down the deck. We've also got 1 counterspell as a secret. Again, there were 2 of these in the previous incarnation of this deck, but now there's only 1. And instead of the counterspell, there's been a spellbender put in. I came up against a mage the other day when I was playing a paladin deck, and the spellbender ended up taking the, what was it? Blessing of Might, I think it was. The +3 attack. So you end up with, so that ended up them having a 4-3 on the board after that, and I was like, oh man. And I was casting it on a 1/1 to try and get rid of one of their minions. So not only did I not get rid of their minion that I wanted to get rid of, but I also gave them a free minion with an extra buff. So spellbenders can be really useful against paladins and possibly warlocks as well, that have kind of spells that buff creatures. So that's pretty useful. I'm guessing that's why he's put that one in instead of having 2 counter spells. Although 2 counter spells can be quite useful, so I guess it's up to you. I mean, the difference is that the counter spell is a rare card and spellbender is an epic. So if you don't have a spellbender, just put 2 counter spells in. And obviously to synergize well with the secrets, we have 2 Kirin Tor mages that reduce the cost of those secrets if they're played on the same turn, which is pretty awesome. Turn 3 counterspell can be pretty effective, or you can keep the counterspell for later on, especially if you're against a mage. You might want to leave it until, or even a priest for that matter, you might want to keep your counterspell for later on in the game, should you think the game is going to last that long, to counter pyroblasts and mind controls. Fairly standard. We've got 2 fireballs, standard mage stuff really. We've got 2 violet teachers, which obviously synergize well with all the spells that you're going to be casting. Turn 8 you could cast a violet teacher, a Kirin Tor mage, or turn 7 even, Kirin Tor mage and a secret, which will then you should get your 1/1 violet apprentice out as well. So that's a pretty nice turn 7 play. Yeah, they synergize well with all the spells and stuff. Also synergizing well with spells, we have 2 gadgets and auctioneers for extra card draw. This is probably why he took out the arcane intellect. There is one there, and obviously you can combine the arcane intellect with the gadgets and auctioneer and get 3 cards, which should be amazing. We've also got 2 water elementals, which again will combo well with the Ice Lance, because this freezes your character. One thing to note though with the water elemental is if you're attacking, say, a druid or a mage or a warrior that have armor, if you're only taking off their armor, it doesn't freeze them, or at least as far as I'm aware, it doesn't, unless they've changed something and I haven't realized. So it's only if you actually deal damage to their health does that actually freeze them. So if you wanted to use your water elemental to do damage and then use an Ice Lance to combo, just bear that in mind, that if you're attacking a warrior that's got, say, 5 armor, you're not going to be able to freeze him with your water elemental until that armor's gone, unfortunately. Again, to combo with all the spells and to give us a little bit more card draw, we've got 2 Azure Drakes for the extra spell damage. I guess if you had the Blood Mage Thalnos, you could put that in there somewhere, maybe instead of one of the Mirror Images, or maybe instead of one of the Mana Worms or one of the Sorcerer's Apprentice. You might want to switch it out. It's entirely up to you, but I haven't really had huge amounts of need for it. Again, 2 gadgets and auctioneers, and we've got 2 flame strikes. This was the extra addition instead of the arcane intellect. So if you're, I found that I've never really needed more than 1 flame strike, so I kind of play it by ear, but it's quite nice against rush decks, provided you can actually get to turn 7 without dying. Yeah, I've come up against decks and they all of a sudden they get to sort of like turn 8 and turn 9 or whatever, so they've got lots of mana to spend, and then they just put out like 4 or 5 small creatures. If you don't have a way of getting rid of them, then that can be a real problem. And to finish off, we have an Archmage Antonidas. Now this is probably the most difficult card to put into this deck. Because obviously he's the class legendary. And I haven't got many class legendaries. So I'm going to assume that some of the other people that are watching these videos don't have a lot of class legendaries either. I've got lots of the neutral ones, but not so much of the class ones. So, yeah. I'm not really sure what you could put in instead. I mean, there's plenty of other things that you could put in. But his special ability is quite unique. Although, saying that, since I've been playing this deck, I think I've only really used it once to win a match. The other times I've played him, but I was going to win anyway, regardless of whether I played him or not. So, I don't think he's 100% necessary, but he could quite easily win you a match. I guess alternatively you could put like a Pyroblast or something in instead, if you've got one of those. So there we go, that's the deck. Let's take a look at it in action and see what we can do with it.
Jaina versus Garrosh.
Victory or death!
You asked for it.
Okay, so we're against a warrior. I haven't seen many warriors at this rank. It's been mainly mages and warlocks and the occasional hunter. I don't really want any of these. Maybe that one. I'll keep that one. No, no, I'll get rid of them all. Pick one, just pick one. Okay, that's not so bad. I would have preferred a Mana Worm. That would have been pretty useful. But beggars can't be choosers, so.
I feel icky.
Let's see what we draw into. Not ideal. Alright, well, let's use our Arcane Missiles and hope we can get rid of that Lethanome before he actually has a chance to do any damage. Which he does, so that's good. So we'll just take the 2 damage instead of 4. Which is what we would have done otherwise.
It's time for a little blood.
And he's going to use his Armani Berserker. And I'm going to use my Frostbolt. And we'll get rid of that. Do not want. Because if he had used his... He has ways of doing damage to it and giving it extra attack, so... That is not so much of a threat. So I think I'm just going to use my Arcane Intellect here to draw into a couple of cards. That's not so bad. We can Mana Worm, Mirror Image for 2 next turn.
For the War Chief!
Which I'm probably going to have to do, because he's getting some bigger hitting creatures on the board now. Oh, 2 Mana Worms. Excellent. Right. Mana Worm. Mana Worm. And we'll have a Mirror Image, which will buff both those Mana Worms. And let's use Arcane Missiles to buff them both as well. Not ideal. But it's not so bad. So this is quite good. I'm not really sure. Oh, I suppose if he uses armor up, or where it is that gives him 5 armor, and
What now?
I'm not sure if that would really work with a Spellbender. I guess that's more of a counter spell type thing. I'm not sure if the warriors. Oh yeah, warriors get stuff like charge spells. Not really sure they like to use that though. Or do 1 damage and gain extra attack. So it could be useful getting a Spellbender out for that. Possibly.
Wanna blow something up?
Oops. Bit of a risk using a Mad Bomber on such a crowded map. Or board, I should say. We've only got 5 mana, so I think first off we're going to get rid of that. And then... do you want to use that? Or I could use coin and we'll get water elemental out. I think I'm going to do that. I'll make him make the trade. And hitting him in the face. If you want to trade one of your minions for that, you can. I'm not trading. Not yet. I mean, he's got enough on the board that he could clear what I have on the board. I guess alternatively I could have used a fireball to take out one of these guys, but I don't really want to use a fireball to take out something that's got 2 or 3 health. If it was a frostbolt, then sure. But it's not. He might have something big that I need a fireball for.
I wonder.
Come on.
Back to work.
Okay. Right. Right. Okay. I'm not quite sure what the point of that was. Because he could have killed... he could have done exactly the same thing without using this and still cleared my board. And then he might have been able to play something else instead. But, sure, whatever. Okay. Let's see. I think I'm going to play this.
We have many secrets.
And this. And then I think maybe I'll just stick him in the place for one. Would have been nice to have got an Ice Lance to do some damage to him while he was frozen, but never mind. It's no big deal.
Try this.
That's great. You can't attack with that this turn, so that's fine. Is that it? There we go. Okay. So he's going to assume then that that's not a counter spell, which is fine. Okay, let's get the Gadget Zan Auctioneer out, and we'll use our mirror image and we'll draw into a card.
Job done.
That should keep him busy for a little while. Hopefully. Hopefully, I mean he won't kill off my Gadget Zan Auctioneer this turn. I think he's established then that it's not a mirror entity or a... what should we call it? Go on, put another minion on the board. Go on, go on. Put another... ah. Boo. Well... do I fireball this? Do I flame strike them both? I think I'm just going to flame strike them both. I'll draw into a card anyway.
Time to pay. Job done.
Because you can't trade with that until this guy takes another damage. Wow, okay. Okay, we got... let's get the other one out.
Best deals anywhere.
And we'll do 6 damage to his face. And we'll see what we draw into. Because we're going to draw 2 cards. And we're hitting for 4. And now he's in serious trouble because I can beat him next turn with what I have available to me. That would have been nice to have had a counter spell then. God damn it, okay. Well, I can't beat him next turn. Oh my god. Okay. Thank you. I'm not really sure why he played that. Oh, I guess he would have done 2 damage to one of these, or 1 damage to one of these, so that he could have killed it. Yeah, but now he can't. Okay, so what we got? 4. Alright, let's get one of these guys out.
Pay attention, class.
Let's get her out.
Someday I'll be just like you.
And then we can, what, 6, 7. We might even have lethal here.
Time to pay. Time to pay.
No, we don't. Or do we? Do we? So many procs. Oh, yeah, we do. No, look, we do. Ah, we could have done. We could have, and then used the ice lance afterwards. And we would have beaten him, but he knew that he was beaten. So there you go. That is the Counter My Miracle with tokens deck. I've had a lot of fun with this deck. It's one of these decks that I've just... That noise is going to really do my head in. So I think we're just going to... Yeah, that's it. It's one of these decks that I just have instantly clicked with, and I instantly kind of understand it and be able to play it and have success with it straight away. The one that I put up last week, I didn't have... it was one of those ones where I would have had to have sat and kind of learnt it and not done very well for a long time until I had learnt it. Whereas this one I just seem to be able to pick up and play and do well with straight away. I mean, I was really struggling for a while. I couldn't really get past like rank 17. I think I was sort of stuck around rank 17, 18. I picked up this and as you can see, I've just hit rank 12. I mean, I've only been playing it for a few days here and there when I've had the chance, but I'm really enjoying playing this deck. So if you decide to use this deck, let me know how you get on. If you make any videos or anything, feel free to send me a link via my Twitter, and I shall be sure to check that out. So thanks for watching. I hope you have some fun with this deck. Don't forget to check it out on hearthstone.com. The link will be in the description below. And I shall see you next week for some more big deck player. Thanks for watching, peeps. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.